Okay, and then so then I could talk about how like this Penn State roster is kind of like a hybrid, like some old, some new, and then you could talk about how Towson is a brand new squad, and then we could jump into the map selection and side selection. I already know the first one is going to be, I don't know if you have it, but they tagged us in it. First map Towson, first map. Welcome, friends. Conference 1 is back. Been waiting a long time. We had some great tournaments in 2020, but that was last year. Now we're looking towards the future. 2021, here we come. It's week 1 in the Eastern region. I am Jag, joined by Shuttle. Shuttle, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, and I am uber pumped that we're starting things off in that Eastern Conference. We've got some big ticket teams coming through for this next stretch. I mean, Rutgers is in there. You've got Shorty Kings following up, UW Gold, a lot of big hitters that are going to be competing in this region.
Rutgers, they won 2 tournaments in 2020. Waterloo, as well as the Shorty Kings, they both did pretty well. And we have another returning team that we're going to be seeing here tonight. It is going to be Penn State University. They were able to make quarterfinals in November, weren't able to secure a win in the tournament, but here they are once again trying to show how good of Valorant players they can be. However, it's a bit of a different squad we're seeing this time around. They only have 2 returning players, Rezik and Titanos. The other 3 members had to step down for various reasons, including Danny Steele, who was their very belovedly known captain. Now they've got 3 new players coming in. I saw them actually a little bit in action during the community gaming training grounds. that was put on 2 weeks ago, but now that roster is merging into the old roster, so it's a bit of a hybrid we're seeing here, and I also know Towson is a completely new squad we're going to be seeing tonight.
Yeah, not really big name in the Valorant scene, but you know, Smash Brothers and a couple other esports, the Townsend themselves have a really strong esports program, so I'm pretty hopeful that they're going to come out swinging, and then we're going to see some expert Valorant play from them.
Yeah, and I was able to talk to their captain very briefly, and they said they've got players coming in from multiple titles, including CSGO, Overwatch, and even Rocket League, so it'll be interesting to see if that competitive experience they had previously translates over into tonight's matchup. It is a best of 3, so we know we're going to have at least 2 maps in this series, and the first one has been selected. It's going to be Split, and this is very exciting for me because I have not seen Split since the changes went through. That map had a lot of renovations to it. Now it's a lot less defense-sided, and because of Towson picking Split, it is going to be Penn State on defense first.
I'm excited to see the new changes as well. It completely changes the dynamic of how you approach each point, and defensively, I'm not gonna lie, that map had gotten a little bit stale for me. How you held was pretty much ironclad in where people were positioned, and it just came down to, you know, who had the peeker's advantage in a lot of situations. So I'm excited to see what happens with the new changes.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I know Sage has kind of come back because of some of these changes. For walls, especially on point B, there is some really interesting stuff you can do, but also Split has been the home of Viper. Viper, not the most popular agent in Valorant. Riot has even acknowledged in their patch notes that they are going to keep making some changes to try to buffer a little bit more in the upcoming patches, but for now, she's still going to be as is. Her wall, though, still very strong and cut off basically the entire map.
Yeah, the new wall, being able to throw that out there and then take it out like prior to the map was a big buff, and now that you can kind of just save up that gas and your teammates don't get affected anymore, it completely flips that coin for her, allowing her to really enable her teammates. Whereas previously, your Viper ulted on point, and it was like, okay, everybody get out. I'll stay here alone. Hopefully they don't find me in the smoke. The rest of you guys try and find a corner to get some angles on.
Viper's Pit. It's a great ultimate, but we'll see if she'll get any more use beyond that. And we're going to talk about the rest of the compositions. I think Brimstone has kind of come back into the meta. That is because of some buffs to him as well as some nerfs to Omen, who had been the primary smoke agent for a long time. A lot of people like playing him as a controller, but now Omen and Brimstone, they're kind of switching what maps they're playing on. So a little bit more of a split. They're not just all Omen all the time. But the other thing I want to talk about is Killjoy over Cypher. I mean, Cypher, he got hit by some pretty hard nerfs, and it seems like Killjoy is a bit more useful on attack and defense right now.
I think it makes them a bit more situational. If you're playing a map like Ascent, Killjoy is going to be killer for you. But I still think that maps like Bind, you're still going to be finding Cypher to be a little bit more useful, especially when it comes down to that utility of practically being able to hold down a site solo. Now you need that second person to be at least in rotation range, but you can still play relatively similar with your Cypher, so he's still superior at getting information. I think the Killjoy comes out a little bit situationally. It's a map-based pick now. You're definitely not going to be seeing Cypher every single time in that composition lineup, but I don't think he's going to be going anywhere soon.
And it's really interesting because they definitely are agreeing with you here. They definitely think that Cypher is the choice to go with. We're seeing it locked in already on both sides. We might actually see a Yoru come out. No, okay, that was just debate. We're going to see a Raiden. And I would love to see the new agent come out in Stride. I think he's got some very unique abilities. He's able to sneak around, kind of similar to Jet, but a little bit better at getting behind enemies. Speaking of Jet, looks like actually Danny Steele is in for this matchup, so we had been previously under the idea that he would not be playing for this PSU squad, but here he is, so surprise, surprise, surprises all around so far, Steidel.
Yeah, they just wanted to keep it under wraps. They were like, don't tell anybody he's playing. In fact, tell people he's not, and then we'll surprise everybody on stream. So got one on us, guys.
Yeah, you cast your curse yourself. You know, you say his name 3 times in the mirror, he will show up eventually. Here he is in prime time here at Conference 1, and you know, you and I were talking about economy earlier, what guns to go with in this first round, and it seems like teams have really started going away from the Classic after that nerf. They would prefer the Frenzy or the Ghost. I'm wondering if we're going to see a lot of buys early on.
I'm not going to be surprised. I don't think we have any Reynas in our lineup on this map up. On this, sorry, this matchup. So not going to be seeing. That's my favorite combination as of current, is to throw the Frenzy in tandem with the Reyna. Allows you to buy a couple of extra abilities, so you can become really powerful in those 1v2, 1v3 encounters early on, and help your team put a leg up on the opponent. So here we go. Starting things off, Towson Esports on the attack. Making a pretty fierce push on to A as they push into the high ground. Sorry, straight onto the point. They don't even want heaven.
They don't see that Danny still is there, but Empty is gonna put the trace in out. It's a 4v4 despite Towson playing. You see so many members already on this, but Towson are pretty weak. They're gonna fall. Oh, there's gonna be a 3K right there.
What a classic! If you get my drift, Towson. Just getting there for a couple of picks at the very end if he can get some extra money. Walk not able to pull it out, but what a play by Ryzen.
And you got to remember that Towson, they were the ones who bought more. It looks like Penn State, they were the ones that mostly settled for the Classic that last round, so they will have a little bit more money in their economy, as well as that extra money from winning. In Towson, even though they bought a bunch of Frenzies and Ghosts, they are going to go for the buy here. This is very dangerous. It's something we've been seeing a lot more shuttle teams are not going to be waiting for that third round. They want to contest out of the gate, even if they lose the pistol round. So there's going to be just so many SMGs on the side of Towson. Looks like these attackers are going to be sitting up towards mid.
That can be difficult. You lose this round out. Your economy is going to be in a bit of a rough position for the future rounds. PSU is going to be playing a little bit gingerly here in mid. They've gotten the information that the majority of the team is there. Breach having used a lot of their utility now for the entrance into the mailboxes. Atypical going to be throwing in a grenade, trying to flush out any members of Penn State that they can in this defensive hold. Viper Wall going up to keep things interesting. You're seeing Rezi now forced out to make the rotation on the point. And the rest of Towson, however, is going to take a quick note, hit the rotation, and head on over to A. It's 5v4v1, and Stress is able to find 2 before he's taken out.
Yeah, you see the Stinger v Stinger matchup. It's got a great fire rate. Doesn't have the best accuracy, but there you see 2 kills before that Omen is taken out. And also, Towson, again, they have 2 very low numbers. I have to say 1, but then you see you're going to see Guak get a kill there, but going to almost fall near death. So it is a 3v3, but it's definitely in the defender's favor with how much more health they have currently.
And you see that Cypher trap go off. It catches the Viper out. It's going to give a lot of vital information, but you can use it as a distraction, and that's what we're seeing. Set off the trap, immediately make the rotation back to A once again while leaving their Cypher on B. Towson University is going to be able to get their plant. Like the split defense, Penn State now approaches the point. Rezi looking for a couple of heads to kick. Coleslaw finds 1 at ropes.
That was their most full health member. Both the Breach and the Stifle on the side of Towson are solo. Now it's only Murph. Murph cannot get it done, and a great round for Penn State. 2 in a row, and Rezi had full armor there. Now going to get the defuse, so 1 more ult orb towards their showstopper. Great plays right now from this Raze early on.
Great plays indeed. The patience that we've seen from Penn State, paired with the versatility of that first round where everything was just kind of rush, go, go, go. It's nice to see both sides of the coins being brought out.
And one thing that was interesting there for Towson was that, unlike the first round, they just ran in, they played mid, they tried to look for default, they kept trading, and then they were able to set up on A. So it was good patience by them. I commend them for that, but again, they just lost so much health in those early engagements that it was going to be very difficult for them to ever be able to hold on to the point once they got the spike planted. Now, they're going to try to go through B. They haven't tried it at all. And remember, this hallway coming out of Garage is much more visible for the defense now.
Ooh. To allow for the versatility and the mobility from Atypical. It finds the first kill, beats the box, but can't find the second. 2 down now for Towson State as they're put down to a 3v3. Rezi throwing the grenade out into the back. Just trying to flush members of Towson out there. He did lose a little bit of help. Oh, the showstopper comes out, misses the first satchel, checks the corner, no one's there. You've been debated. Gonna fire through the smoke. There it goes, finds two!
Oh, that's 3 kills! 3 kills on the round, and now it's just empty as taking. They completely gave up the point. See, Towson is low, so that wall not going to be up for much longer. Can they do anything? This Viper only has an SMG, and no, that's not going to be enough. The Stinger not going to be outranging the Operator. 3 rounds in a row for PSU. And the good news for Towson, despite the fact that they are down, is every round they've been able to plant, so they will have better economy. We're going to see a replay here. I really hope it's that 2K with the showstopper so patiently realizes there's no one behind them hiding in the corner, so Garage, that's probably the best option. Fadeaway shot right there.
I like how there was that pause moment of, well, there's no one here. Huh, I wonder if there was someone behind that. Tunk.
Yeah, best guess. I mean, worst comes to worst, it hits no one, but in that scenario, you get 2.
Well, now, Towson University coming back down 3 rounds as the momentum is building for Penn State. It looks like they are going to slow things down as much as possible. Early Omen smoke to conceal their peaks, but really just trying to find utility and get a little bit of value out of it. We know the Omen is holding at A. Nobody else has really been able to bait out any other abilities anywhere else. So Towson just doesn't really know what the spread is just yet.
And this is something we saw earlier in round 2, like 2 rounds ago, not that much earlier, but they played mid, they tried to find a pick here or there to get onto a point. Right now, they have not been able to find one because PSU, they've been playing this patiently as well. They are not rotating, they are just holding on site, which is really good discipline from them. It means that they will not be easily fooled into a bait. We haven't seen that thus far, and now it looks like after not finding anything mid, Towson, they're going to try their look at A.
Yeah, leaving their rays in mid, of course, so that they can catch out any rotating stragglers.
30 seconds left.
But they need to be careful. Danny still has the op at the ready. Misses the shot, though. The blind was there just in time. Now they're going to be able to push onto him. The entire team of Towson flooding onto this Operator, but Danny Steele still able to squeak one out. Throws down the smoke, but the smoke won't protect him or stress. Murph going to be able to find 2 there as well. But back into a similar situation, 3v3, but this time Empty is taken lives. Find one, here's another one for Murph. And with only 1 member left from Penn State, it looks like Towson's going to be able to put one on the board.
They are indeed, and we talked about how great that Viper's Pit could be on point once the spike is planted, and there you see it in action. Scheidel, you called it, this team, they executed it, and now they're going to bring it back a little bit closer. They basically do the same thing every time. They just run onto a point eventually. The question is, do they run on immediately or do they wait a little bit? That time they played patiently. Then Murph just had great positioning, almost fell in a fight. They were dueling stress in the smoke. Danny Steele wasn't able to turn around, lost that one. But that Operator wasn't picked up by Penn State. And now it looks like, actually it wasn't picked up by Towson. It looks like Danny Steele was able to buy another one because of that great eco lead they built up earlier.
Sad not to see that go into the attacker's hands. That op could have been quite the asset. But Danny's still going to be holding down on A with the Operator. Sees the smoke and the Viper wall. Knows that there's some action, so is keeping themselves vigilant here on the corner. Here's the Roomba come out. Got one satchel for a little bit of damage, but it's going to be the first kills coming through for Stress. As Towson tries to make their way onto the point, they're going to lose more than half of their team.
Yeah, and they use the Viper wall there to try to just create a barrier between them and anyone who's going to be playing ramps. That time it doesn't work out. Now it's just Smurf with a Dream and Arrow going to take out their counterpart. The Operator once again going to be going their way. It was a good plan by Towson, and whether or not they knew someone was there, it was just great insight. But I think there are 2 options there. You press onto ramps or you just completely rotate off. I don't think you go all the way on to A. There's almost always going to be someone in heaven or on site, and there Stress was just able to get 2 quick kills at the get-go. Now you see the economy for Towson not doing so hot. They're going to have to go for light buy, and they're going to set up towards B, but I was going to say the spike is not in their position. Now it's been picked up by their Brimstone.
I don't think they're going to play the same little game over at A. They're going to allow that Omen to expend some of those early smokes. Thing is, though, they have not met an operator in mid yet, and that's the second time Danny Steele has shot in the shoulder of the breach. Able to get out of there just in time, however. Mirko tastes blood in the water, going to be throwing a lot of flashes out and making a lot of noise. This is going to allow them to gain a couple of members from Penn State to move on over to B as the team rotates once again over to A. You can see Stress already pinging out this map. I think they're rotating over here. They're in heaven. They're up here with me. Glock able to find that opening kill as the members of Penn State react quickly. Most stuck in the center of the map in rotation now.
Off your feet!
Neural Theft going to be thrown in, and now they know that that Breach Ultimate is going to hit them because they were just found out. Question is, can this Raze do anything in the backline? You cannot go for the 1v1 against that Vandal when you got the Classic, but Murph is going to take out the Bladestorm. It's still in the advantage of Towson, and as long as Murph stays alive with all of these stuns, it might be winnable. Another kill for Murph.
Rezi was not looking for that kill there. Almost finds the second, but Coleslaw is going to be able to throw things back into favor. Trying to get another kill. Now it's just that solo Coleslaw left on the point, looking for the headshot. Shoots just a little bit too high, and that allows for Glock to get the body shots to take the point. Towson able to find a second point on the board here. And now the economies are a little bit better.
Yeah, that was a great thrifty round. They needed to win it somehow, some way, and they did. They committed 3 ultimates there. They committed Orbital Strike, they committed Neural Theft, as well as the Breach Ultimate, but they got it done. So it's okay to overcommit. You don't want to give up too many rounds in a row, especially as we're getting closer and closer to that halftime. Only 6 more to go before we go to that, and now, oh how the turntables, because Penn State, they're the ones who have to save.
Going on to the Sheriff. Let's see if we get some spicy shots here, Rez. Beautiful cursor placement right on top of the head. Just needs to be able to click the shots in time. Trying to get a bit of penetration shot as they wiggle back behind the corner, but they are going to lose their life. B now left with 1 less defender as Empty is takes a couple of pot shots looking for the camera.
Yeah, and it's interesting what the attackers are doing right now. You see they're very split. MP's Taken is now the only one on B, and it seems like the rest of the team is rotating towards A. So it might be a bait. They might be trying to create noise at B just so the rest of Penn State will rotate there, but they have not bit the bullet. Just saying, no, that was MP's Taken. They're just doing a dose and go right now. See if the shot 40 can it do enough damage.
Oh! An Empty is Taken was trying to get out of their life, was able to claim at least 1 more life on the way out. And oh, Glock, that's unfortunate. Steel got you and the gun. Now Steel armed with the AK-47 pushing onto the point. 2 members of Towson left to defend the bomb. Steel's got half his health, typical, able to find the kill onto Coleslaw, so now it's just Danny Steele in a dream. Able to throw the smoke to get on the point, but the placement doesn't matter. Murph still able to find that head.
I'm not sure what Danny Steele was trying to do there. They dropped the Vandal, and then they had to go back and chase it, so maybe a bit of a misclick. Maybe they were just trying to... I thought they were trying to throw the gun out of the map and to say, like, you know, this round's over. GG's, go next. But there just seems like a misclick. Kind of threw off the rest of the rhythm of Penn State and Towson. They're right back into this now. They only need 1 more round to have things all tied up. Economies are a bit even. And again, Danny Steele going to bring out that operator. They're going to be using it on ramps like we saw last time around, but you see on the other side, that's not where Towson wants to go. They want to go mid.
They've had a lot of success in the early game about drawing out some utility and information by holding down this mid position. You hear that op go off. They now know that they've got somebody looking down the ramps. So you're seeing a typical setup here in ropes, waiting for that rotation, but Danny already looking into that magical crystal ball, sees the future, knows they're going to rotate for him. The rest of the team, however, battling out in the middle right now. B still of their prime target, and for most of the defenders are, and what a quick and good shot coming in from Danny Steele.
Yeah, moving shot as well, so you need to time it perfectly there. You're able to. Now we're going to see Rezi get one, get 2, and it looks like Penn State, they are the ones in the driver's seat once again. Not a completely flawless round, but a great one nonetheless. They had lost 2 in a row, and now some momentum going to be back on their side. Danny Steele with his operator. It's very scary. They have moved all around the map. You mentioned it earlier. We'd seen them playing A. Then they moved to mid. They're on ropes and just threading the needle there.
Not to mention that, you know, we're starting to see Penn State kind of get privy to what Towson's been doing. The 3 successful plants that we have seen from Towson have all been off of misdirection plays.
We'll see if they can get another misdirection, but it looks like they are all going the way of A. And oh man, if the smoke goes down, there could be some big spots, but no, the operator's down. This is huge right now for Towson.
Danny's Steele down now. The rush is on Towson. As they want into A, they figure out Heaven as well. Resi going to be falling with a trade. So bring it back into the familiar 3v3 that these two schools have apparently chosen to go into. Going to find the next kill, and getting back on the point is going to be difficult for Penn State, although they're able to find one with Coldslaw. Has the cage to keep himself hidden. He's going to find the first kill. The bomb's going down now.
Spike planted.
And with almost no health, Coleslaw is going to have to peek this corner and hit with precision.
All he needed was a headshot, but it's going to be the headshot going the other way. The rolling thunder that came out there from Penn State, it wasn't enough to get them on the point. The stuns were not there. And you saw the plant still went down, so not only is that a win, but again, extra credits. And they've been planning this spike almost every round, regardless of a win or loss. They are keeping their economy a bit healthier on the side of Towson now. Again, 1 round away from tying things up. And what we're seeing right now on the side of Penn State is some of them can commit to a full buy. Others, they're going to have to settle, like Resi, going to be going for the judge. So I'd be expecting that they're playing right around a corner looking for a 1-2 punch with it.
Resi, if I don't see a cool satchel judge kill, it doesn't, none of this counts. Letting Resi know that one. Similar approach to starting from Towson University, leaving 1 on A, 1 on B, just in case of an aggressive push, while the rest go mid to get as much information as possible. But look at the response from Penn State now. They're already into ropes, already into mid. Taking the key off of that. There goes the satchel into the big boom! Finds 2! Almost gets the 3rd in the corner. Danny Steele's gonna be able to swing around and find an extra. Only 2 members left. Towson University absolutely shocked by the rocket that came down mid.
Oh, and Guac, in a world of hurt, they're almost got caught out after the paranoia, but it's going to be that falls. Now, it's a 1v1. They know that Jet from Penn State is on B. So now the question is, do you go to A, or do you go for the bait, or do you just try to go out for the firefight mid? They're both there. Oh, the shot's not landing for Guac. Gonna be just firing through the smoke. Oh, this is getting intense here.
30 seconds left.
It's all up to Guac on their own to tie things up here and now.
Cage trigger.
They have the upper hand on health. It's just a matter of who's going to land the shots. It only takes 1 or 2 to decide the fate of this round. Plant's going to go down, and it's going to be a loud one. Danny's going to know exactly where they are. Has the headshot peek. Finds the penetration shot!
Wow. It was a great shot. Just, you know, threading the needle there on the box, able to find the head peeking out from the Cypher. I think that was a bit misplayed from Guac. There are so many other spots you could have held on point. You didn't have to rush out. You knew you had the advantage there, and even though that Jet Danny Steele only had about 70 health going into that last fight, they're the ones that come out victorious. And now, because of that, going into halftime, they will at least have a tie, which is great for them. They want to get a few more rounds, have a lead. Look at that. Just look at that. 30 health at the end of that, and now they also have their Blade Storm online for this next round. Towson probably thinking that should have been ours, but this round, it might not be, because the best gun they have is 1 Vandal of light armor, but Stinger, Marshall, there's a lot of different stuff coming out from them.
Danny's deciding not to opt for the op this time around. Taking a bit of a different approach this time from Towson, as they're leaving mid completely unguarded. Going to allow for an aggressive push from Penn State. A couple members of Towson now rotating into mid. Might catch Resi out. Don't know if Resi's expecting it. Oh, expecting it indeed. Able to find 1, able to find 2. Straight through the wall and into the spawn room. Roomba gonna follow. Here's the shots on the Roomba. Able to find and turn the 4th.
Is it going to be the ace? Are we going to see the ace? Is it going to come out?
They've got to give him the ace. Oh, no! Typical. Says there's a new sheriff in town. Here's my marshal.
Oh, beat them against the world.
Oh, wasn't able to find it though, and gets caught out on fall damage.
It looks like Coleslaw did most of the damage there, but at the end of the day, it was falling from that box that led to their death. That was great play by Arrow, just dancing around, knows the showstopper comes out, doing the best waltz I've ever seen, and wow, doesn't end up falling there still. Atypical gonna be denying the ace there, so I'm sure Rezi's gonna be a bit peeved about that one, but they know they're gonna have a lead. One more round would get them an 8-2 before halftime, and they do have the ultimate still to do it. They got 3 online for the defenders.
Oh, and Danny's trying to get extremely cheeky there. We see what you're doing. Double updraft on A allows you to see into that initial hallway that the attackers often group up in. Rezi going to be taking Atypical out of the fight very early on, and it's one of the top fraggers for Towson now out of the picture.
Yeah, and still they have Neural Theft. They've got their own showstopper as well as the Omen Teleport. So there's a lot they could do for the defense. You see Danny still just holding the same angle that they have been with the Operator previously, looking for all those blades going into someone's head, but gonna back out very smartly, not playing too aggressive. And on the other side, it looks like Towson, they were looking to commit to A, but after waiting, they're gonna back out. Here's the showstopper now from Rezi.
However, missed both of those satchel charges and gets caught by the Cypher Trap. Sadly enough, that is going to be a wasted ultimate there for the defensive team. 2 members down now for Towson as they push on to point with haste. And man, Coleslaw just mowing them down.
It looks like there was potential there at the end for Towson, but then they just kind of ran on to B. Didn't look like they had a set play in sight. They gave up Heaven, and then once they dropped down, they were just blown up. Now with the side swap, there's any time to come back, it's now. Split, definitely less of a defensive-sided map than it used to be with those changes, but I would say in general, Valorant is generally defensive-sided on any map except perhaps Haven, so
I want to say most of the stats say that maps in general are like 54, 58% favored to the defensive side.
Yeah, so not big odds, so hopefully they can bring it back once they get their turn, but we're just gonna see this play here first. It's a turnaround. Oh, if we don't get to see the turnaround there, it was like, oh, here it is. Like, just the knowledge, the game sense there to be able to figure that out. That is so impressive to me, and it's something that I wish I personally had as a player.
It's that Roomba play for me in that last one. Oh, Danny. Oh, we didn't get to see the beginning of your story, Danny, but we did get to see how it ended. First kills have gone through. Bit of a trade instance. Rezi now battling an off in our corner. 2 there, so even if they were able to take Empty out, second one to back him up. Stress now approaching from the outside as well. Evening the scales, 3-3. The Viper, however, for Towson, mighty low already. Only going to take a little bit to kill, but the Frenzy coming in handy for Murph. But 2 down now. Arrow says, you know what? I don't care about your Frenzy meta. Dude's now unfortunate meeting there. Long distance was all Arrow needed to secure that kill.
And it was very similar to Towson when they were on the attack. They actually had the person advantage. They had the player advantage, 4v3. But again, during those trades, during those kills they got, their members got super weak. The angles they were covering as a team, they just weren't able to get them done. And that's going to be another round going towards Penn State. And they only need 4 more.
Bucky?
Yeah, it's going to be a Bucky. We're going to see 2 Buckies, it looks like, right now from Towson on this defense, though. And similar to the judge, I expect them to be holding very tight corners, but with those changes to A Heaven, it's going to be a bit more difficult to do so. Penn State says, we're not going to be going to A Heaven anyway, because we're going to be running it down mid.
Good one-way smoke coming out from Towson. Doesn't look like anybody from Rezi is going to be dangerous enough to take that angle. No reason to put yourself in harm's way when you can't respond, and a big poison comes out for those who might be waiting for it. It forces Danny out into the mailbox, and Empty's gonna be able to take that kill pretty simply. Throwing out another poison, but it gets met with a grenade by their own teammate. Typical now!
You hate to see friendly fire. It doesn't happen that often. It looks like they got stuck between not only their own teammates' raise abilities, but also the enemies. But at the end of the day, it's gotta be the team own kill, and now walking coming out that Bucky, getting one, they get to
Oh!
kill.
Oh!
Oh, not
One
four
enemy
though.
remaining.
Got the spike.
Break out the toast. We've got some block. What a kill. That triple. Absolutely deserved, as it's going to come down to which breach can play it better. Looking down. Oh, the flash comes through, but he'd already pinpointed Murph.
And we were so excited by that play from Glock. We didn't even get to acknowledge that Arrow got like a 3K in an even smaller amount of time, just spraying with that stinger. Hopefully we'll see a replay of that as well. So 2 3Ks back to back, but Arrow gonna get the last laugh there, the round win, as well as a 4K in the end. Just couldn't find that last shot. There was the beginning of Arrow's journey, and then just 2 kills right there. Maybe even collaterals. And Penn State, they're starting to roll.
Yeah, you know, I told you, like I said, Penn State, they're starting to pick up on the sneaky things that Towson was throwing on the attack rounds, and that really put a dent on what Towson was able to do. And now the aggression that we're seeing, the Danny Steele on this jet, maybe dying first, but almost always trading. Rezi right now, the maneuverability with the satchel charges has been absolutely key, coming around a lot of these corners and
Cage
alleyways.
triggered.
See what Coleslaw can do here as he pushes up on ramp. Heard the reload. Sorry, that was Glock coming out of his camera.
Off your feet!
There's going to be Rolling Thunder, going to be going all the way through B Heaven. We see Atypical still has that Bucky, but your adversary, the sniper, going to run away. And now it looks like these attackers, they want to go towards B, and they have basically cleared the site already.
They have. I like the fact that we're seeing the check in the back there from Murph. Finds Rezi out. Notices that the rays hadn't come out of heaven yet.
One enemy remaining.
Now Arrow looking for the rotation for the rest of the team. Towson, one member left, and Arrow been able to secure the final kill in the attacking round every single go so far.
5 kills with the Stinger. The Bucky Destroyer cannot lose at that range, and despite taking some damage earlier in that fight, still ends up winning it. And Towson, it's a bit dire there. They didn't spend, so it's okay now. They can come back and try to go for the full buy on their side. You see, the most part.
And this is Towson's map pick.
Yeah, it is indeed. So this is not the way you want to start off the series, but it is still a best of 3. So regardless of how this ends, there's still plenty of time for them to get back to this. The one thing that Towson does have is a Spectre, so they couldn't go for a full team buy-ins. If they lose this one, it is basically done, Steidel.
Oh, that did not go the way that he wanted. Rezi trying to do a cheeky little trick there to get the bot to bounce off of the wooden area just to his left. He's able to land it, but still able to use that Roomba as enough of a distraction to get them on point. Secure a kill. They've lost one, however, over on A, so they won't have their Cypher. They won't have their Jet. Penn State no longer in such a great position as they're put down 3-4.
This is the one time we've seen that Towson has had a player lead now, a 2-player lead, and their players are not super weak. They are going to lose their Rays, but now Arrow going to be caught up by the Rolling Thunder, and suddenly it's a 2v2. Rezi with the headshot. Towson, they are now on the brink, and now they are down to only Guac.
It's all up to Guac. Has information in the corner, able to find out Rezi. Only one left, has their ult, so they're going to be the king of information here, now knowing exactly where Arrow is. Just has to wait patiently for him to get uncomfortable and peek.
And that's an Arrow threat you have to use there. If you lose this round, even though you could still technically win the next one, your economy will just not be good enough to go head-to-head with Penn State. Now you force them to buy. You might not be able to go for a full buy yourself, but it's a much better situation, so a great play there by Guac to keep Towson alive, at least for now. Looks like this is... Maybe they can get a rhythm going here on defense. It seems like they're just getting bad ends of trades usually. Even in situations like that, when they're up, their positioning still, like, there's 2 members covering the same spot, and they are still losing trades. They're just not being able to follow up on them. So if they can get fire on the same person, they will always go for the advantage.
Well, it looks like Penn State wants the advantage to be even more heavily in their favor. Push that snowball down the mountain if you can. They've kind of ironed out how they want this middle push to go. They bait out that one way. They bait out this Venom puddle. And then they use their Brimstone and their Breach to get in as quickly as possible. Rez able to find a satchel kill while having to ult out. He didn't even mean to get that kill. He was just using it for movement.
Yeah, just threw the showstopper down just the last second. There was a trade, but it's on their favor, and Empty is taken. That's the second time they died in that exact same spot, so maybe it's time they try to take a different position there on B Heaven. That Spike is now playing at Towson. They're gonna have to play for the retake, and they're gonna have to be going into a 2v4. No ultimates. Barely a Cypher. No Cypher now, and Murph not gonna be long for this world. Penn State, they play mid, they play patiently, and they get round wins. They've done it over and over again on this attack, and despite Towson being able to show some life, they're going to have to go for a very light buy. So unless they can find a few share of headshots here and there, I think we're going to see the first map going the way of Penn State.
And you know, it comes down to, so far this map, in my opinion, has really come down to angles. We're seeing a lot of times when Penn State initiates onto even a single member, there are two different people from multiple angles engaged in that fight, just in case one goes down, just to get that extra firepower in there. And we're not seeing the similar reaction from Towson.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to see from Towson.
But still being quite coy when it comes to initiating his pair. They're going to lose the bomb early to Murph. Coleslaw will be able to pick up that kill as it's a bit of a chaos onto the point. Danny with another one. Penn State now up 4-2 as Coleslaw finds his second. Very grim looking right now for Towson, as all that they have are their rotated members at the back in front of the point. They lose Juice. And now it's all up to Empty to grab whatever they can, clutch this out if possible. But in a 1v4, that is a big mountain to surmass, and floating in the skies at the peak of it is Danny Steele.
We saw them go for that exact same play earlier on the defense. This time with the Blade Storm able to find that final kill, and it is going to be Penn State University going up 1-0 in this best of 3 series. And you talked about it right at the very end, the angles. It was something that I was talking about, I think, a round or two before that on the defense. Towson, they were covering the same angles a lot of the time, and they still weren't able to find those kills, so perhaps it's best they swap things up next time they go on the defense. But I think the biggest thing also is to look at the compositions. We didn't get a ton of time to talk about it earlier. We talked about the idea of having a Viper, but I think the Viper was better in our heads than it was in actuality. Empty has had some great walls. There was a few great Viper's pits, but you saw more duelists usually equals more damage. And for Penn State, look at the leaderboard. I mean, Rezi and Danny Steele both at the top of it.
I'd like to see what Towson can do if they take that Viper out of the equation and throw in someone a little bit more versatile. The Viper works, like you said, but it worked better in our head. The only place that the Viper really came into a big impact was on their defensive hole on mid, and it didn't take long for Penn State to kind of read that and be like, okay, well then we can just wait. They'll pop that one way, then they'll Venom, and then we can push, because they're not going to have anything to do anything about that at that point. And once that began, it was pretty much over for Viper.
Yeah, they basically you called it out earlier on too. Like they'd getting it down to a science basically of, all right, we get these abilities out early. We have an idea of this is where they will be playing constantly. I mean, they caught out again the Viper twice in the exact same position, although one of those times is actually on their own teammate's hands, so atypical. Getting a little bit too
overzealous with the grenades.
A little bit overzealous, yeah, with the grenades. So unfortunately, that explosive damage did end up killing them. But it just seems like PSU, they knew exactly what they needed to get out, then they knew exactly how to follow up on it, and it wasn't the most perfect we've ever seen. It wasn't a 13-0 by any means, but for the most part, it was a very good showing by Penn State. And that was Towson's map pick. We already know the second map, it was decided a bit earlier. It's going to be Vine, so we'll see how that plays out in just a little bit. We're going to take a short break, but don't you be going anywhere. Conference 1, Week 1, Eastern Region. We'll be back in just a little bit.
gotta stop the flood before we lose it all and drown from fear. But let me tell you, I'm ready to fly. I've survived through rainstorms, sandstorms. I fought the war. Now it's time to go home. Let me tell you, I'm ready to fly. I survived through rainstorms, sandstorms. I fought the war. Now it's time to go home. It's time to go home. It's time to go home. Walking through the dark alone, no clothes, striking a light. Burning for the heat, the fire, the sparks, the love to keep me alive. I'm captured for a gift, the thrill is how they live. One-way track to hurt and to forgive. So I lift my head, open my arms, give a sword to my heart. I said, let me tell you, I'm ready to fly. I survived through rainstorms, sandstorms. I fought the war. Now it's time to go home. It's time to go home. It's time to go home. Pick me up off of the desert. Feed me water. Walk me through the hills. Wait until the sun shines upon us as we cross the haunted hills. Pick me up off of the desert. Feed me water. Walk me through the hills. Wait until the sun shines upon us as we cross the haunted hills. It's time to go home. It's time to go home. It's time to go home.
All right, and we are back. It is 1-0 lead right now for Penn State University over Towson, and these teams are ready to get going on the second one already, so I believe we'll be going to the agent select in a second. It is going to be Binds. That was the map chosen by Penn State. They're already up one map in the series, Towson. They're going to pick defense, so the question is right now, can Penn State put it away, or can Towson rally back to force a map 3?
Mine's probably one of my favorite of all the Valorant maps
agree
to
with you.
really
It's
to
great.
really watch get played. And the reason why is because there is no dedicated mid, but you have that teleport. So A main becomes this really important portion of the map, where on the defensive side, if you lose A main and you lose that control on the opposite teleporter of Mahuka, it allows the attackers to pretty much have free reign on whatever point they want. But at the same time, defensively, this is one of my favorite maps, just because this is Reyna's playground, in my opinion. I feel like a good Reyna here on Bind can pretty much shut down the opposing team defensively. It can be so difficult to push back in. You know, the sites are kind of engineered in a way for the retake if you play it right. You know, B can be a little bit stale with the ways that you go in, only those two chokes, but as long as you're able to get the rotation, to the attacking side of the map, you have a lot of options, and then there's a plethora of ways to get yourself back in on A for that retake.
And like you said, Reyna's Playgrounds are going to see her come out on both sides. Another agent I'm not surprised to see is Murph on that Phoenix. I think Phoenix is very good. Still no Sage. I'm a bit surprised we haven't seen her here or on Split. Right now, Towson, they're going to be doing their best on defense this time around. Penn State, they're going to keep trying to build that. So just jump in, but he's going to be taken out by Guak. That's why the frenzy is so good.
Caught in that short little moment where they didn't have their pistol out already, but even with the information that's been happening, we're seeing a very slow rotation right now from Towson as Penn State pushes on. They're able to find one kill, and a slow rotation is going to force the members of Towson to kind of back out and put on to heaven. So we're going to see the power of the retake here and now. A lot of Penn State's members are kind of cooped up in this U-Haul Lamps area.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see them engage at each other at any moment. Now they're going to bring it to the wall. There's the Lear. It's destroyed, but is it not destroyed too soon? There's going to be a typical cub. The power of Reyna. She's so fused to him. Finds one in the corner as well, but has to reload. Still gets the 3K. And now it's just going to be Towson with the defuse. They give up the point, but they're able to get it back. It's not going to be enough time for the spike to go off. 4.5 seconds left for the defenders. And finally, we're going to see Towson start off on a good note. One thing I want to note, I'm going to say note like 22 more times now that I've said it, is that they still have the Viper, which is a bit surprising. I remember seeing Viper a lot in the earlier days of Valorant when it first came out, when it first was in beta.
She was very strong.
Her wall was great. But nowadays, you'd never see her. So I'm really just to see if this is just something that Empty has taken prefers, or this is like a strategy that they have coming in, or why exactly they continue to run the Viper. We'll see how it works out in their favor so far. They are up 1-0, so not too bad. Yeah, trying to throw that nade in the molly. So.
Still doesn't get the one-way. Tries hard to get that one-way smoke to set up, but Taken not able to get it down. And, you know, there's something to be said about comfort picks, Drag. Meta is comforting and it works, you know, that's why it's the most efficient tactics available. But sometimes a character you're more comfortable on can be the better option, and that might be what we're seeing here with Empire. Danny now peeking out onto the point. Sees that little jiggle peek. Very dangerous to drive peek in Valorant. There you can see a perfect iteration of a wet peek, using your abilities to help you peek around the corner and win the fight. Penn State onto the point with yet another slow rotation from Towson University.
Stress able to find a 2-for-1 at the end there as they're reloading. It looks like their blast pack was able to get them, and now you see Danny still on the rotation. Might be able to find one out in heaven. Don't believe they have only one cloud smoke left, so now with the wall going up, they might be able to just go up behind Murph and try to find them. But there is one coming out on the other side. There is the curveball, and Danny still is going to find the kill, and Danny's still going to find two on the lake. I thought for a second that Guak might have been able to see Danny and Hookah from attacker side, but
I think the flame wall. He was on the left side of the flame wall. Danny was on the right.
That is so unfortunate. It was a great idea. Cut off sightlines for most of the defenders, but you can't get away from Danny Steele, it seems. And I think one thing you mentioned earlier about comfort picks, I think that is very true also in a game like Valorant. There are meta picks, but it might not be as important as other FPS games like Overwatch per se. At the end of the day, your mechanics are generally a lot more important than ability usage. So it seems like Penn State has had a bit of a lockdown on ability to get kills. Great headshots here and there, as well as great team play follow-up. So we'll see how that goes into the Viper.
Early out, we're seeing a lot of utility once again getting used by Penn State to get in on A. They've made their presence known. This time the rotation from Towson is coming in a little bit sooner. Rest of the members now circulating through heaven. Danny's still trying to currently kill up and over U-Haul, but does not find the bullets that they need. He's now getting ready to poke out, but oh man, nobody paying attention to the far right side of point A, and that's going to leave Empty on their own against three members of Penn State.
And you don't want to look down sights there on the Stinger, because then it becomes a 3-round burst as opposed to a rapid fire gun. So yeah, sure, you get a little bit less recoil, but there you see you're not going to win the gunfight. It was a great try by Empty to try to find an exit frag, but it was not meant to be. And Arrow on the other side has been insane with this Stinger so far. Did great on our first map split. Let's continue that trend here. And looks like instead of buying, they might actually just stay on the Stinger, Arrow, and Coleslaw on the other side. You're going to see a full buy of assault rifles. One Bulldog, but mostly Vandals and Phantoms. So Towson, they were able to take one round earlier. And they have not been... This is like the best situation they've been, I think, in terms of rounds for it. At best, they've always been one down. They want to get tied or a lead soon.
And there's Murphy using that run it back, trying to see if he can't just get himself a free kill. But it is able to get a lot of information. And so the members of Towson University right now that are still on A need to rotate quickly. They know the majority of Penn State is in that hallway. Murph was able to see at least 3. If they wait too long, it might be too late. There goes big old boomstick, able to find one. Jude's going down, spraying into the hallway, but not able to find the kill. Stress collecting out. And interesting to see both the Phoenix and the Reyna for Towson rotating through hookah. Nobody deciding to rotate to be long.
This is going to be the Empress. Walk every time is just backed all the way off.
Last player
Isn't going to find 1 kill. Now going to find 3 kills on this round. Can they get the ace? They're going to use the neural theft. They're going to have to get the ace if they want to secure this thing. No, both of them are going to be there, but it's not going to happen. Rezi going to find the shots needed to end that one. And I think that's an issue that we're seeing from Towson right now. It didn't happen as much on Split. I'm seeing it here a lot on Bind. Every time they feel a bit of pressure, Buck especially just backs out immediately from a point. We saw it even in the rounds that they've won. They were able to go for a great retake there because they had the numbers, but this time around, it was just Guac with no chips or salsa. Unfortunately, they could not get it done, and now we're going to see the Bucky come out to play for a typical.
I want those rotations to happen quicker. If they've been able to catch them out and be long, they've been able to catch them out just a little bit sooner, I feel like we'd be reading a different story here. They hear the Roomba into hookah. They know that there's contacts there. Still leaving 2 on A while 3 push on A. Penn State doing a good job of splitting points and leaving the bomb in mid so that they can decide their course of action. They don't like what they're seeing in B. They say, oh, they think they may have figured us out. Let's go over to A for a little bit.
Now Towson does have the player advantage, but we've seen it time and time again. Even when they're up, they end up falling down later on. Rezi trying to go for a Weir on it. Is going to be caught out very quickly by that Cypher tripwire. Phoenix Molly not going to be hitting them, but they definitely know there's someone in showers. How do they place it? Do they push it? No, they're just going to stay on point. And those rotations, you want them to be quicker. It looks like now they're going to have a little bit of backup as the Reyna makes their way to edge.
Yeah, the Roman now smoking off both sides of the default plant boxes on A. Giving them the ability to enter into the first portion of the point, if you will. Here's coming out left and right. Rezi and Coleslaw both able to pick up a couple of kills, and with Murph and Guac down.
Spike planted.
A lot on Atypical. Back and have to go through the Cypher track. Does get caught out, however, so immediately going to be popping back. Camera comes out. Not going to be up for long, however, but the bomb is down. So Towson University now fighting against 4 members and the clock.
Spike planted, and again, they just give up the point. They all back up. They want to play super defensively, and I think that's a bit of a mistake. I think at some point they got to try to not give up these points on the side of Towson.
Oh no! Stress over there playing Ring Around the Rosie isn't going to get it done, but Arrow and Rez are going to grab all they want and all they need there at the very end. They're going to put it down to a 4v1, and Penn State beginning to run away with it just a little bit.
We saw this earlier in Towson. They were down early on Split. They were able to catch up a bit before things got really out of hand, so I'm wondering if we'll see a similar result here. Even though Towson's on defense, they're struggling. And I'm just going to keep beating a dead horse of it, but I've just noticed every single time that the moment they feel any sort of pressure, they all back up. They don't hold the same angles. And you mentioned it on Split. Danny Steele in particular, great at holding a bunch of those angles. All Penn State great at holding the angles. They did not back out. They did not over-rotate. I would say on the other side, they are backing out too soon, and they are under-rotating. They are taking way too long.
And another thing is that is not happening with Penn State. Penn State is being aggressive and aggressive together. So when they go on point, it's 3-4 people entering the point at the same time. There goes the Lear. There goes the grenade. There goes Danny Steele flying through the air. Because of that presence, they're able to take space and keep space. Danny Seal with the first kill. Meanwhile, Towson cleaning things up. This time, the rotation came quickly, the kills came swiftly, and the rounds in their favor.
That was a great molly that we saw from the Viper. Completely cut off what could have been a good push out of B long, but instead they had to rush in because they didn't want to be stuck in it. And even though they were able to find a kill here and there, great plays by Empty all around, able to get a few kills at the end of it before giving up their life for the cause. And Danny still, again, great plays with the Jet, but you see the Lear just kind of completely cut them off, cuts off most of the team actually. No one breaks
3
it.
kills off the Lear, yeah.
Yeah, so great play there from the Reyna on the side of Towson.
So now we're starting to see a bit of an aggressive poke from Hookah. From Towson University, they get the information that there is at least a Cypher there on B, but they don't see anybody else. Now with themselves losing one member here on A. You can see Instate taking out of the water, finding another kill, making it a 3v4, and putting Rez all the way on point. Oh man! Rez is in such a position that the members of Towson just aren't prepared for the angle that they have to take, but Empty still able to find the headshot that's needed, popping shots through the multiple smokes. Just hoping to get a little bit lucky about something while they send the Bulldog to heaven. Jude.
No charges.
They have Viper's Pit. They have Viper's Pit and the teleport, so they could use either of them there. The teleport probably doesn't make sense in this scenario, but they could just put the pit down, hope that they can find 1 or 2 kills in the smoke. Instead, they're just gonna run right into it. They're gonna know one's there on the left. They even know the other 2 are there.
Jude!
This actually might be winnable for Jude. The Bulldog and all gonna try to go for the fake out.
No. Unfold able to dodge it, however. Jude's with the jukes. Doesn't have enough time. There's a little bit too much stress involved.
I see what you're doing there.
See
It was a great play by Jude. Was able to sidestep the showstopper, avoid that certain death ultimate, and still just kind of panicked at the end. Like you said, there wasn't enough time, even though they had gotten the spike halfway already for diffusion. Weren't able to get it all the way, so the last second, put it up, try to see if there was going to be a peak coming out. It wasn't. They died. That was so unfortunate for Towson. That would have been a great round to win. You see, now they're going to have to get a little bit swifty with it. They're buying all over the board. They've got sidearms, they've got shotguns, they've got assault rifles, and they might not have a Viper after that.
Very interesting decision there from the Arena not to use the Lear when they pushed aggressively out of Hookah. Using that Lear, pushing out of aggressively out of Hookah, you can find a lot of easy kills. They would have been able to find that Raze at least. Instead, dry peeked it and took a lot of damage for it.
Yeah, now they're going to have Rezi down completely. That Bucky coming out. We saw Block do work of it earlier on. Now they're going to do a little bit more work now. They are going to lose a bit of health. 3 of the members right now on the side of Towson are weak, especially that Reyna. She really needs to get a soul orb right now. She really needs to get some sort of heal to keep her alive. They still have Viper's Pit and the teleport, so they still have ultimates in their advantage, while Penn State has none. But again, every time they've been up, it seems like then they just panic and they lose members because they aren't covering the right angles.
And you can see Penn State right now being very, very cautious in the way that they want to push. Towson still keeping 2 people on A. They can recognize a patient rotation if it's happening, but still nobody showing up over there. They're going to get a little explosive action onto the point. Able to find a double trade there. They're able to find 2. Typical able to find 1, and Coleslaw takes Typical out of the fight completely now. With Empty on the rotation.
Spike planted.
I'm not sure what they're doing right now for the Demons.
Maybe
they might have just given this up. Yeah. It looks like they're going to save.
Yeah,
it looks like they have just said, this isn't worth it. And it's interesting because they have better guns, so there is a chance they could actually try to contest this, especially with the fact that they have Viper's Pit.
It's economy.
But they don't want to, because if they do lose that, then they know that the next round's also not going to be going their way. So it's a smart play. Danny Steele has the operator once again. You don't want to be caught looking down at that Jet, so the question is now, does Penn State chase? It looks like they are not going to bother. And, you know, all is well in the world. Another round going the way for Penn State and Towson. They've got some catching up to do, because Penn State, again, they're at that threshold where no matter what happens now, at worst, they go into the halftime with a tie.
Not to mention that their economy is in such a place where they can comfortably lose a round and still come back from that with only
look at
1 or 2
Stress.
kills under their belt.
Stress had a lot of money, just bought, but look at Arrow. I mean, Arrow has enough money for at least one more person, no matter how this round goes. So
Yeah.
they can share the wealth a little bit. But because of that save that you pointed out, Towson, they can do a full buy for everyone. So
Well,
it was
except
a
for
very
Murph.
smart play by them.
Murph came out of that little rough. He didn't find any kills. He got taken out pretty early. So he'll be rocking. I believe he's rocking the Spectre right now.
Come on, let's go!
Run it back.
Aggressive
Murph,
push into
and
Bass. Luckily, using that run it back. Definitely not a fight that he wants to take with that Spectre in hand. Needs to find himself a shorter angle.
Careful now.
It's just the operator, like from Danny Steele. It's been magnificent, and now that they have it, even on the attack where it's not as good because it takes longer to set up those angles.
Oh no!
You can tell that Towson is scared.
Yeah, Murph got caught out there, but
Planted.
cursor placements there. Finds Stress out. Arrow able to swing for that second kill.
One
Now
enemy remaining.
rolling over the point. Penn State able to find 2 headshots. And this is what I was talking about when I said that Penn State might just have the mechanical upper hand.
Cover going out.
Seeing a lot more headshots than body shots for Penn State. Whereas Calvin, they're coming in with the kills. There's a headshot just to make me shut up, I guess. But a lot more body shots I've seen.
It doesn't matter there though with the operator if it's a body shot or a headshot, as long as it's not hitting the legs, you're gonna get the kill every time. And there was an opportunity there for Towson to try to break that 1v2, but unfortunately for Jude's, not gonna be happening. And for Towson, what can you do right now? I think one of the things is they've been holding on to ultimates for a very long time. That Viper's Pit has been online for forever. We have not seen it. The Empress is something that you can just kind of pop and see if it goes your way. And now the question is, do you even use it? Because even though there's only 3 more rounds left before the swap, you can't buy. The save 2 rounds ago, it worked out for last round, but now look what they have. They just, again, it's like a circus of different kinds of weapons. None of them are consistent, and they all lead to different kinds of fights. Sheriff, long range, then you get the Bucky that's short range. So it really comes down to how do you cover this on defense. And from what I've seen so far, they've just not been able to cover the angles the right way, but a typical Cup is going to sort things out. But again, Danny's still going to even them.
Peaked before the Lear was out, so line wasn't up just yet. Red able to find one as well, and we got like a little bit of a taste test there of what the aggressive Reyna can actually get done for Towson. And down to a 2v2. That Reyna had played it a little bit more passively, probably wouldn't have snagged that first kill and would have been met with a 2v1. Now in a 2v2.
Neural theft, but I don't think Towson will be able to use it.
They're rotating B long.
There.
Towson has not approached from this angle just yet. The flash
One
comes
enemy
through,
remaining.
but he doesn't check!
One enemy remaining.
Flashed the container, but didn't check!
There's going to be the neural theft, so now they do know where that last player is. Oh man, can Guak get this kill?
Oh,
no, they cannot.
no!
Stress 3 kills on the round, and oh my, oh dear. Just again, the opportunity, it's there, but the moment was not going to be for Guak.
Sadly, Morph did not check that corner.
Yeah, if you got to check your corner, because look,
Flashes.
there's the curveball
Oh,
right before that, and
that's the
just
second one, yeah.
there's one right before that, and it would have perfectly hit the raise. I mean, she turned around very instinctivly.
It did
So,
get her, though.
It did get her for a second, and that's all you need is 1 second to catch them off guard.
Get out of
There,
my
it's not
way.
going to happen, and now it looks like Coleslaw going to be taken out early.
And that is the exact play that I was talking about, that I've been wanting to see. Use that Reyna Lear early on to be aggressive and find an early kill. Towson, however, losing 2 to Danny Steele, who has been relatively quiet this map. Up until that point, of course, decided to go ahead and grab a loudspeaker. Now both members of Towson University caught here in their own spawn.
Last player
Gets on.
standing.
In heaven, Danny's still able to find one.
That's
I'm
4 for
sorry, Danny.
Steele. I'm pretty sure
Last
that
round
the
in the
Origin is
half.
like, listen, Scheidel, I can pop off whenever I want, and at one point was at the bottom of the leaderboard for Penn State and has now climbed all the way to second. And a lot of people, though, on that team have 10 kills, so
I was
lot
gonna
of
say,
kills
I
go
like how
all
spread
around.
out the kill leader gap is. You know,
You see how good this team is all around. They're well rounded. There's no like one carry. All players are doing well on their role, and Danny Steele especially has been popping off with this operator. And every time I hear the name Danny Steele, I just think of like a superhero or something. You know, it's such a great name.
Typical now with an early kill on the res. And Penn State losing their aggressor, no longer going to have a plethora of blinds available to them. They're keeping their options open, however, they've noticed that A seems pretty well locked down right now. So let's go see what we've got going down on B. And I don't think anybody's caught Jude out, but Stress, good game sense and awareness, was looking at that corner as they popped out. That's going to give them the upper hand. Expect the ultimate now out. Oh, good job by Empty. Able to find two there at the very beginning before that ultimate goes down, but Stress still able to plant the bomb. Rotations from A now coming in from Towson University. Murph trying to get the kill he couldn't get earlier, and Stress still closing the door on the Phoenix.
You cast your cursed Judes, and it's been all downhill from there. You said no one would catch them on the flank, but the game awareness from Penn State has been amazing all night. It's so winnable. Now it's not. It was touch and go there for a second. The raise on the side of Penn State was so weak. So if you find maybe a shot through the wall there, a wall bang, you're able to find the 1v1 against the Cypher, but they are a bit of indecision. It was a great play by MD's taken at first. They were able to sidestep the showstopper. They actually got hit by the blast pack as the Raze was jumping over them, so Stress not able to find the kill there. Still gets the round win for their team. And now it's halftime, and it's already more than halfway done right now for Penn State. 3 rounds. That's all they need to clean up the series and tie it up with a bow.
Now, I expect to see the aggressive Reyna play out of Penn State. I'd be surprised if they didn't do so, especially with how they've been playing it on their attack. But it looks
Rez
like
has been playing with no fear at all.
Yeah.
Like, just keeps running out, and it's been usually working out. Sometimes they've been caught out, but for the most part, that's how you have to play Reyna. Just throw a Leer in, peek, and hope for the best.
Look at how quickly this rotation is happening.
There's that aggression
Already,
you talked
Penn
about.
State moving from B to A. The bomb might be going down now, but it won't be long before a full 5-man squad meets them in defense. Stress able to find the opening kill. Keeping it real with the shorty. Finding himself that first kill. Well, if they're not getting pressured out, why not? Win in a row, and some might say. Win on bind? I'm not sure it translates over the whole way, but...
One enemy remaining.
With the defuse and all the kills at the end!
Oh, 3K at the end, but it doesn't matter because that spike, it was already defused long before that. And even on their attack, you see that. Look at this. We're gonna just rewatch. The typical cup gonna get one more. You can't be. You caught out of your knife, Arrow. Come on, Arrow. Come on. Unfortunate there, but you see again that Towson. They give up the objective even when they're on the attack. They completely evacuate the site there. They back up. Their Reyna's all the way on a long. Looks like they're the ones defending at that point, and they keep doing it over and over again in the series. And I think Penn State has been very good at holding their objective, holding their angles, and that's why they're in the lead right now.
Need to check your corners, ladies and gentlemen. Rezi, however, trigger discipline. Waiting for the second person to get up there so we can get at least a 2K. Able to find 1, able to find 2, and that's all she wrote. Ladies and gentlemen, check your corners.
Oh man, what patience, what precision. Rezi gonna find 3 and Stress gonna end it with the judge. I mean, if I was Rezi, I'd have just been like, hey, free kill. But then, you know, me being in gold, wouldn't have realized there was someone probably still coming. Just the game sense has been immaculate from Penn State this whole series. We saw it a lot on Split, just being able to guesstimate when people will be rotating towards them from different directions. But here, 1, 2, and I'll take that Spectre on top of it. 3Ks there, and we're going to be at match point for Penn State already.
Woo! Yeah, Penn State has just been breezing through this map. You know, one of the more practiced maps for most teams, so I'm not surprised to see them feel comfortable here. It was their pick. Towson with a very, very large mountain to climb right now. Both
no
teams
economy.
quiet to try and gather some information. Rezi's gonna find an aggressive kill onto typical. Wildly out. Rezi able to find a second one. It just doesn't seem that anybody can contest this right now.
And get the Empress as well too. And he's going to try to go for the firefight now.
Player
It
standing.
is going to be Danny still getting 2 ins. Unless Squall can have an amazing play with this Bucky. They cannot. It's a flawless round. It's
Who's shotgun
almost,
can shoot fiber?
it's almost a flawless series from Penn State. And they are going to take the 2-0 victory. They did
What a
not give
start.
up more than 5 rounds on either map. So going 26 and I believe 7 the entirety of the series. That's a great way to start off
That
this
is.
season of Conference 1.
Yeah, that's a good way to snag some confidence off the shelf and snack that in your back pocket. Apparently, my back pocket is on my shoulder. But yeah, real flashy way to start off the season. I mean, they showed that not only could they execute, Penn State showed that they could execute patience. They could be aggressive and explosive onto the points when needed. They can stop and maybe rotate or fake rotate if it needs to happen. And, you know, granted, we didn't see a lot of the super fancy stuff from everybody, but, you know, Rezi on that Raze was absolutely a terror, carried over to the Reyna, as well as Dan on that Jet, both extreme forces on these two teams. So coming into the rest of the split, if you're out there and you've got a game against Penn State, make sure that you're watching some game footage because you're going to need to be prepared.
Yeah, for Towson, I think they got to go back to some of their compositions as well as some of their strategies. I was talking about it so much about how they just kept giving up the point, which led to some very disadvantageous positioning for them. You saw Penn State, they would go in every time and say, thank you for giving us the point. Now we can sit up at every angle. We'll get the kills. We'll have our Reyna pushed up super aggressively, and it usually worked out for Rezi. And just, again, we noted at it earlier, but at one point, that score box for PSU is so close. All of those players, they were contributing, whether it was in kills or assists. We're going to hear from one of those players in just a little bit. We're going to take a quick break before we get to an interview from someone from Penn State University. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
the space, the grace that takes you home. You don't have to tell me once or twice, wonder why we're here. We just gotta stop the flood before we lose it all and drown from fear.
Interesting.
All right, and welcome back, friends. Coming back from a 2-0 win, Penn State over Towson, opening up the season with a great way. And I am joined once again by Shuttle, and we have Arrow, also known by the first name Webb, here with us. How are you doing? Looks like we might be having some audio issues on Arrow's. I'm not sure if they can hear us right now.
Are my headphones not working?
Can you hear me now? I can hear you. Can you hear me
We
now?
can hear you, but it doesn't sound like he can hear us. So we're just gonna wait on that for a second. Arrow, if you're just coming from that series, was the one playing the Brimstone and Omen for Penn State and looked very good on the Stinger, I must say. Had some great plays, and hopefully we'll be able to ask some questions about that in a second. Arrow, can you hear us yet?
This is flashback to Zoom calls. This has been my life for
The
3-4 months.
PTSD. Alright, well, while we try to get that down, make sure Arrow can hear us, were there any things that we saw that we haven't already talked about? I mean, I think we talked about, positioning on site, angles, the Vipers. Is there anything else from the series that you think we can
One
go
thing
into
we
a little
didn't
bit more?
really touch on, and this is just credit where credit's due. Towson, didn't really come out with a great scoreline today, but that first game, a lot of those maps came down to one, maybe two people, in a lot of those situations, as well as the fact that I said we didn't see fancy stuff come out from Penn State, but we saw some fancy stuff come out from Towson. It may not have connected, but it's there. So I'm really excited to see what Towson is going to be able to bring to the table.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
showing up on the screen, like the camera's working, but for some reason I can't hear anything.
Alright, we'll keep hoping that we can. I think we're going to try to get Arrow into the Discord call instead of using VMix audio host, so hopefully they'll be here in just a second. But I gotta agree with you. I think there were some great set plays from Towson, but I think you could tell that their confidence
Alright.
maybe is wavering a little bit, especially on bind. They seemed a little bit indecisive, and that's why we saw them giving up points even when they were the attackers, even when they had the spike planted. And Arrow, are you in here now?
Hello.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
There
We
we
can.
go.
Oh, alright. Sorry, I don't know why I can't hear you guys earlier.
Well, welcome, congratulations on the win, and we've been talking about your match a little bit, but we're gonna give it to Steidel to open it up with a question for you.
So my first question is kind of a softball, but we saw you pick up that Omen when you guys went over to Bind. How are you feeling about the new Omen? Still as powerful as he was, or are you starting to find yourself picking other heroes in that place more and more?
Honestly, for me, Omen's kind of like I feel Omen when we play matches. Personally, I'm a duelist main, so I don't know too much about Omen nerfs. As far as I know, the smokes got slowed, so still trying to coordinate like pushes with the Omen smokes correctly is a little bit tough. Getting the timings right still from like the old smokes. But other than that, I think he's still pretty viable. But I think Brim is a little bit more meta right now with his current like buffs that he got.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, Jag,
Yeah.
you have any questions?
Yeah, so you're telling us that you're mostly a duelist player, which is interesting because you played Omen, you played Breach, so it seems like you're kind of in this flex role, and I'm wondering if that has anything to do with this new roster you guys put together. I know you and I actually talked a little bit before this matchup because I was trying to learn more about this new Penn State lineup. You had a few players coming from a previous CF1 tournament in November. You have some players that played together in the Valorant training grounds. What was it like bringing that new roster together, and did that cause you to kind of flip-flop on your own role on the team?
I think coming in, I kind of like know that I would probably have to flex the agents that I play. Knowing that Rezi and Danny will likely be picking up their duelists respectively, and so I just try and fill in the holes. And Danny and Rezi have played together last season, so they got some chemistry. And me, Stressball, and Coleslaw both played in a different league as well this season, so we've played a little and we got some chemistry. So in terms of meshing together, I think uh, we're fine. We don't really practice too often. We kind of just show up to games and hope for the best. And it's been working, so yeah. But yeah,
Hey, for sure.
yeah. But in terms of team chemistry, I think we're fine with like our separate experiences together already. It's not too difficult to play with each other.
All right, Shell, you got anything else to ask? From Arrow?
Nothing to ask, but something to say. Fantastic job today, man. You and your whole team, y'all literally killed it. Great scoreline. What was I believe the final scoreline was 26 to 7.
Yeah, something along those lines. That's a huge difference in
Yeah.
rounds, and that's very advantageous. I do have one question. This is actually about your play style. I noticed you went off on the Stinger, so I gotta ask: is that a gun that you feel particularly like good on, or is that was it just today was like a good day for you on it?
I think in general the Stinger's a little bit kind of broken. I mean, I think for everyone, like the Stinger, if you can buy it, sometimes people prefer over like the rifles you can get because of like the close angles and like how fast it fires. And generally, I'm pretty good on the Stinger, being duelist and everything. So I think they should nerf the Stinger next time.
Uh-oh.
Heard it here, right?
Be careful
Nerf the
what you
Stinger.
wish for.
Is there anything you want to say before we let you go? Any shout out you want to give to your teammates?
Not too much, props to Danny Steele for showing up to the game. He stood in for us today. He wasn't supposed to
We
play.
were wondering about that because we
Yeah.
knew that he wasn't on the roster anymore. It was a bit of a surprise, but there you go. The mystery has been solved.
Yeah, he's been, as far as I know, he wanted to focus on his own Twitch streams more. I think it's Danny Steele if you want to go follow him. But yeah, he stepped in for us today because we didn't know we had a game until about a few hours before. So yeah.
Well, you showed up, you dominated, and you're walking away with that 2-0 victory. Congratulations, Arrow, on a job well done, and congratulations to all of Penn State University. That is going to wrap it up here at Conference 1. It was a great first day of play. Be sure to tune in tomorrow and Wednesday. We got more games in the Central and Western Conference. Be sure to also be checking out the Twitter to make sure that you are going to be in tune with when those games are going live. Steidel, got anything to say for the viewers at home before we head out?
Just the usual stick from me. Just remember a couple of things, guys. Stay safe, don't be toxic, and have a wonderful evening.
That's going to be it for us here. For me, Jag, you can follow me at JagClass. Be sure to follow Shuttle at Shuttle24 on Twitter. Thank you so much to our production crew, Lawrence and Juke, and we'll see you next time.